I'm Mayor Barbara McMorrow, and on behalf of Deputy Mayor Lester Preston, Committeeman Anthony Amiano, Tom Cook, and David Salkin, I welcome you to From the Mayor's Desk. And we have a wonderful guest with us today. She's taken time out of her very busy schedule, Christine Hanlon, who is our Monmouth County Clerk. There's so much that we have to tell you about so many things that the clerk office does. It's not just elections.
No.
And we're going to share all that with you, or as much as we can. I have lots of notes, and there will be contact information on the screen as we do, so that if you're listening and you say, oh my goodness, I don't have a pen, I can't write it down, or I don't have my phone, I can't put it on my phone, don't worry, because the information will be there. Also, our show goes into other municipalities besides Freehold Township. So wherever you live, Christine is your clerk, and she's going to tell you about all the things that her office does. There's really just extraordinary work being done there by an extraordinary woman. And the county clerk does not have to be a lawyer, but we're very fortunate in Monmouth County that Christine is an attorney. So she is a lawyer. She brings that background with her. So let us begin. Election day, right around the corner. This might be showing even after Election Day, because we go on for, a couple of weeks. But if we could we'll dive right into the election process. How does that work? Your role as a Monmouth County Clerk and the elections.
Yes, well, first of all, thanks for having me here today.
Oh, my pleasure.
I really appreciate the time to talk to you. So the county clerk is also called the clerk of elections. So the county clerk has a countywide role in effectuating the elections process, but I'm not the only countywide office that is involved in elections. There's actually 3 countywide offices. One is the superintendent of elections, also the registrar of elections. The other is the board of elections, and the clerk of elections, which is the county clerk part. So as the county clerk, I handle about a third of the countywide elections process. And one of the main functions that I have as the clerk of elections relates to vote by mail. The clerk of elections is responsible for issuing vote by mail ballots, but also all the ballots that go out in any election, including the emergency ballots, the provisional ballots, the machine. Most people don't realize when they look at a voting machine, that's actually a paper ballot that's
Really? I
in
didn't
the
know that.
machine.
Really?
So creating all of those ballots is the function of the county clerk.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but for the viewers, that vote by mail piece is, that's why I asked please to come on, because
Yes,
that's
I know.
one of the things everybody's so confused about.
Yes.
So if you
Yes.
could explain how that's working.
Absolutely. It has gotten a little complicated.
Yes.
So prior to 2018, voters could opt to vote by mail for any reason whatsoever. You didn't have to be sick or out of town or anything like that. And you had a few choices. One choice was just for one election. The second choice was for all elections in one calendar year. And the third choice was all general elections going into the future.
Okay.
So, each year there was a certain amount of ballots that we had to issue. Last year, the governor signed a law that said if you voted in 2016 presidential general election by mail, you had to receive a mail-in ballot forever for every election until you opt out to me, the county clerk, in writing.
That's
So
what
all of these
caused
people,
all this
it was
confusion.
it was about 20,000 people who had not been planning on voting by mail last year, who then were grouped into this, who were affected by this new law. So all of those people, the county clerks were required to send them a letter saying if you don't opt out, you will be getting a mail-in ballot for this election. This was last year's general election, and every election after that, unless you opt out. Now, people don't realize that every election means if you have a fire district election, if you have a school election, if you have a special municipal election, it's not just the general election, it's every
Everyone.
single possible
Referendum,
election, any referendum, anything.
Wow.
So that's what happened last year, and the governor, you know, with a bill passed by the state legislature, changed the options for voting by mail. It used to be 3 options, now it's only 2. You can pick one election, or you can pick all elections. There's no option for all general elections, there's no option for all elections in 1 year. It's only 2 options, one election or every election. So it was very complicated last year, and we had to implement all of this in a very short period of time between August and, you know, the middle of September, when all the vote by mail ballots were required to go out for the general election. Then fast forward to this year, the legislature and the governor realized that they didn't include anyone who voted in 2017 or 2018 in that law that put all of these voters in from 2016. So we had to put an additional 13,000 people in a short period of time into the mail-in ballot list, send them all a letter telling them they're going to get a ballot unless they opt out, and then include them, if they don't opt out, into the mailing. So this year we ended up sending over 40,000 ballots out, whereas a comparable election to this years ago, it may have been 10,000. So now we had to get up to speed very quickly and add another 13,000 voters into that.
So the second year in a row, in a
very short window,
yeah,
everything changed.
Yes.
So it's been very time consuming. It's been confusing for voters because, you know, some of them maybe understood what happened last year, and then all of a sudden something happened again, and it's just complicated.
And some of them, election night, will go to the polls to vote and will be told they can't because they have a paper ballot.
Correct, but they can vote on a paper provisional ballot.
That's good.
So what happens, it's very important to know that.
Okay.
So once a mail-in ballot is issued from my office, and this year there may be people who wanted to opt out but maybe didn't opt out in time when we had to send the ballots out, so they got a ballot anyway and they may not be happy about that. They either need to vote that ballot this year, or if they go to the polls, the poll book will be marked that they got a mail-in ballot, so they can't vote on the machine, but they will be offered a paper provisional ballot that gets verified after election day and then counted if it's good, if the voter could legitimately vote, if they didn't vote twice.
Yeah.
You know, so there are all these checks and balances.
Yes, which will have to be.
So there may be many people, because sometimes people will get a letter and not think it's something important. You know, so we send all these letters to people, the opt-out letters.
And many people probably don't
and they
read
may
them.
just didn't even read it or think that it applied to them. So this is what happened last year also. So many people went to the polls who had gotten mail-in ballots, and they said, but I didn't want to use the mail-in ballot, so they ended up voting provisional.
So if they don't want to vote by mail, they write a letter, or is there a form that they send to your office?
So everyone who was affected by the law last year and this year got a letter from my office with a form in the letter. But if they don't have that anymore, they could just go to my website, monmouthcountyvotes.com, because that's the elections website. And on the website, they can find an opt-out form. But really, they don't need a form. They could just send me a letter, because we have to have their signature, so they can't just send me an email. Send me a letter saying, you know, Dear County Clerk Hanlon, I'm so-and-so, and I do not want to receive vote by mail ballots, you know, forever.
And what is their
sign their
deadline?
name.
Is there a deadline?
Well, for this election, it's already passed. The deadline was, I believe we made the deadline September 19th, because all the ballots had to go out September 21st. So I gave my staff 2 days
Wow. To do all
turn
those.
everything around. So we did receive several thousand opt-out letters, but some came in after the deadline, so
And then you
so
have to
they'll
let
be
those
opted out
people
for the
know, yeah.
next, well, they got a ballot.
Oh, so that's how they know.
But then they can opt out for the future.
And they
if
could do
want
it
to.
now for next year.
Yeah,
if
they can
want
do it
to.
now for the next election.
So that's good. So
So-
if you want to vote at the voting booth,
Right.
and you've gotten the paper ballot, and you can't change it this year, you could right now write a letter to the Monmouth County Clerk and say, in the future, and then that'll take care of you from then on.
For the future,
Okay,
correct.
so
You can
hopefully
opt out.
hopefully everyone watching understands that a little better, because it is very confusing, and it
Yes.
changed now 2 years.
2 years in a row.
So
In a very
hopefully-
short window of
Yes,
time, too.
yes.
Because many people don't realize that statutorily, the mail-in ballots have to start going out in September.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
It's
right.
45 days before the election. So when laws are changed, there's, they may be thinking, oh, this affects the November
November.
election, but it affects September.
Yeah.
Because all the ballots have to be prepped and, at least the ones that have been requested, everything has to be out.
So
the
let's
door.
let's just talk about voting. We had mentioned this before we began the show. We were chatting, and I know people are worried about security.
Yes.
Because election machines being hacked, and I know people come to me and they say, "How do you know, that it's secure?" And that's why some are doing paper ballots. In fact, because they feel
Right.
it's more secure.
Right.
But you told me very interesting about our machines that
Yes.
they're
So
freestanding.
Yeah, in some ways they're oldies but goodies.
Yes.
So I don't handle the machines. The superintendent of elections is responsible for the machines, but I do know a lot about the machines because we work together. So our machines are not connected to the internet. We have about 1,000 machines that are deployed for election day, whatever election day it is. And they are not connected to each other, and they're not connected to the internet.
That's a good point.
So I feel that that's a very good security measure, because there's no way to, someone to hack a machine would have to hack 1,000 machines, and they're all locked up. There are special keys for these machines. They're kept isolated. They're kept, in the custody of the election officials. And there are all of these checks and balances about a machine where you can tell if something has been touched.
Mhm.
There are special seals, there are reports that you can run to determine whether the machine, anyone had touched it.
Yeah.
And after the machines are programmed, and before they go out into the field, there is required by state law, an independent check, an independent auditor that comes in to verify the machines that are accurately programmed. So there's so many checks and balances with respect to our machines that I really don't feel that that's a concern for us.
And I know
there's
that
so many checks and
you
balances.
have been,
Yeah.
in fact, to meetings and workshops about all of this, and they told you Monmouth County was doing a very good job.
Yes, yes. they did.
protecting
Yes,
our
because there are
machines.
so many issues that go along with it, not just the machines, but other security issues that you have to be prepared
Yeah.
for. And we've been doing a lot of preparation for the past couple of years to get ourselves ready for emergency situations, because emergency situation might not just be an issue with the machines. There could be so many
Yeah.
other issues. There could
Yes.
be a physical emergency, a power outage, a fire.
Like
We went
in
through
Sandy.
Superstorm Sandy.
Right, we had no electricity.
We had no electricity, no polling.
And we still
location.
had the election.
Yeah, yes, and we still had the election. So we in Monmouth County have been getting ready for these issues for a long time, and now the cyber issue is just another issue that we have, blended into our emergency preparedness
Mhm.
and have worked hard to try to be on top of.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
good
really keep,
job.
and our county information technology office, they're top notch, and we work in conjunction with them to make sure that our computer systems are safe. So
And it's
a
really,
constant process.
I was going to
A lot of
say,
training.
it's like all,
Yes.
it's all year.
Yes.
It's not just
Yes.
election
No.
day.
No.
It's all year.
Yes.
Not only is it all year, that there's always, you had said there's an election every month someplace
Yes.
in Monmouth County.
It's constant.
And so you have that, and you have this constant preparation for the general election that comes up.
Yes.
So it's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
we try to make it all work.
And you know
what
what?
we've been trying
Seems
to
like
do,
it.
Barbara, is to educate our municipal clerks
Yeah.
to be ready for all of these issues as well.
Right, they meet with you.
So we do meet twice a year.
That's right.
We've been talking a lot about cybersecurity, emergency preparedness. I've had speakers come in from the Department of Homeland Security, the prosecutor's office, IT people, to help to educate the clerks on the things that they should be looking for and taking back to the towns, their governing bodies about best practices and things like
Yeah.
that. So we're going to keep working on that. We have a meeting coming up in October, and all the municipal clerks will be gathering together, and this will be a topic that we discuss again.
Because it changes.
It changes, and you just have to keep getting better and better about what you're doing.
There's so much that goes into it that voting is such a privilege, and when you know that we have people who don't vote, it breaks my heart, because not only is it a privilege that not everyone in the world has,
So true.
but you work all year to make sure that everything is top-notch and secure, and that your vote counts.
Yes.
That every vote
Yes.
counts.
Yes.
So I do encourage everyone to vote. It really is a privilege that we should all enjoy.
Absolutely.
We really should. So,
Yes.
oh wow, every year now I'm going to think about all the things that are going on before we
I know,
get there.
there's so much preparation.
It's like
behind
putting
the
on a
scenes.
show, all the
Yes.
rehearsals,
Yeah.
then opening night is
Yes.
election.
We
day.
actually we did a rehearsal recently. We went to a tabletop exercise hosted by the State Division of Elections.
Really?
We all different scenarios were thrown at us, and how do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? It was very educational. We did well, but you always have a takeaway that you take back and try
Yeah.
to put into your
You learn something
to your
else.
planning. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's an
So,
ongoing process.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
so you have other things that are fun too. You keep records. So there are two things let's talk about. You keep records and archives.
Yes,
They're
yes.
two different things.
Different, but somewhat related.
Similar, right.
Yes.
So let's talk
Yeah.
about, you're the keeper of the records. What kind of records?
Yes, mostly land records. So the county clerk is constitutionally empowered to be the keeper of the records for land in the county. And it goes back hundreds of years. So all of the land transaction records are kept in my office. And it is probably everyone thinks elections is the big function of the county clerk's office. Really, the land records recording
That's
is the
interesting.
major, biggest function of the county clerk's office, because we have millions and millions of records that relate to property transactions, purchases, liens, mortgages. Anything having to do with land in the county really has to come through the county clerk's office. Foreclosures, everything.
It's a big county.
And it's a big county. So over about 140,000 records on a given year will come through the county clerk's office. And the large majority of my staff works on the recording of land records, because they have to be filed a certain way. It's a huge revenue generator for the state. So just to give you an example, last year my office brought in about $85 million through the land records recording.
And that goes to the state?
Most of it.
Goes to the state.
Some of it, I don't get to keep any of it. But about a third of it goes to the county and goes into the operating budget of the county. And the rest of it goes to the state. And it's, so if you think about every county clerk's office generating, Monmouth County is one of the busiest offices.
I would think.
But all of this revenue goes back to the state.
Well, that's a
That's
whole
a big
other
part
show
of the
for us.
job. Yeah, that's all. So that's, we're constantly upgrading and trying to do a better job and be faster and more efficient, and we just had a restructuring, and
And you're
it's a lot of work.
online for most of it, and people
Yes.
can access it.
Yes, So
How would they do that?
we have an open public records site, because all of these records relating to land transactions are operable documents. So people can view the records on our open public records website, which they can get to if you just go to monmouthcountyclerk.com, and there's a button for open public records.
And they have to fill out a
And they
form?
can search. A lot of them are just online that you can look
so
at.
you can just look at.
You can just
okay.
look. Many people use that site to find, the tax board records are on there, so a lot of the land-related records, there's other things
Plus it's
too.
all public information.
It's all public information. So we publicize all of these records as they come in. They eventually end up on our public records website. So that's a big
Right.
part, yes.
Oof.
So we have a separate division that handles that part of it, the website.
I
part
know
of it.
what goes on just in the township, so I can imagine with 53 municipalities.
Yeah.
That
yes.
it's a very busy
Yes.
part
It's
of your
very
office.
busy. It's very busy, but it relates to archives in a way because
Yes, so that's
the records,
fun.
the
The
land
archives are
records
fun.
that we have date back hundreds of years. So many of these records
1665.
have been moved over to archives to be for safekeeping, but also in the archives division we have so many other amazing records. And the archives was pretty much founded by Jane Clayton,
I
who was
remember Jane.
freeholder, county clerk, and she realized at that time that many of our precious government records, historical records, were not being kept well. They were just sort of in a basement, this many, many years ago. And she pushed to have this archives established. And it's in the Manalapan Library, in the basement. Most of the records people can't touch, but we do tours.
Really?
And yes, we do tours. We have one coming up for.
How would I get on a tour? if someone
So
wants to
Archives
tour?
Day, we do tours
And
on
they're
Archives
usually in
Day,
October, right?
Second week of October. But also, if you just called me someday, we could just schedule a tour and you can go.
Well,
we
we'd
can
love
go
to
in.
see what's down
It's
there.
fascinating. I mean, we have boxes upon boxes upon boxes. Everything's indexed. Everything is organized. We take records from municipalities also who don't have room to store their records. So they kind of rent free space
Yeah,
from us.
yeah.
But we have we have Revolutionary War records, we have Civil War records, we have immigration records, because people used to immigrate through their county.
Oh.
So you'd have to first go through, all the paperwork was filed in the county
Gee.
with the county clerk until the early 90s. Until the early
Really?
1990s. Yeah, Jane Clayton was involved in all of this. We have pictures and everything, people being naturalized through. So there would be a judge involved, a Superior Court judge, and the county clerk. And then after that it all moved to, federal centralized, but it used to be through the county clerk. So we have these phenomenal records of people who immigrated here and all the paperwork they had to fill out, little photographs sometimes that are attached to the records.
On archive days, do you bring some of that up and display it in the
So
library?
we don't, because we have a theme for each archives day.
Oh, that's right, I remember.
So there's just too much to see. So each archives day, we have a particular theme. This year, it's women in Monmouth County, 4 centuries of sort of prominent women. All of whom are deceased right now. We didn't want to upset anybody if they were not included in the exhibit. So we have an exhibit with many of our records that our
At the
archives division
Manalapan Bridge?
creates.
The Manalapan Bridge?
Mhm. The exhibit will stay up for a long time, and we also publish a booklet that has all of the women and photographs of the archival images, and we have volunteers as well as staff who work on all of this. So we have guest authors who contribute to making the book and writing up about the particular exhibit. It's fascinating. So we try to show what we have based on whatever the theme of
Yes.
Archives Day is.
And
But
still protecting them so that they are not destroyed or damaged
yes,
in
you have
any
to
way.
be so careful with
Yes,
them.
because
Yeah.
that's amazing. I've been to a couple of them, so I'll have to make sure that I get there this year. It's free and open to the public.
Yeah, it's free,
Yes.
and we have many, many historical organizations that come and show their wares, show
Yes.
what they have.
Yes.
And we have some special awards that are given out. We have the Jane Clayton Award and now the Claire French Award to people who have made contributions to
Right.
history.
Remarkable women.
And this year we have our guest speaker has to do with women's suffrage. She's going to do sort of a, almost like a one person
One-woman
play in a way. And then we have speakers throughout the week also. We have Archives Week right after Archives Day. So it's going to be a really, really fun
It'll
day.
be fun.
And I started a contest for students to try to get students a little more interested in our Monmouth County history.
Great.
So for 2 years in a row, we did a photography contest. And this year, because of the anniversary, the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, I decided to do an essay contest for 7th and 8th graders to talk about a particular figure in the women's suffrage movement that may have a connection to Monmouth County or New Jersey. So we'll be giving out the prize for that essay contest on Archives Day.
Well, as a retired educator, I love that.
I know.
I love that part of it.
So trying to get the
That's
students a little
great.
bit involved.
Well, they
So-
should know their history. It's so important.
Yes,
It really
yes,
is.
yes.
And people now, it seems, they have that ancestry, all of that
Yes,
going on.
everyone
So
is-
they're
mhm.
beginning now to become aware of our history and try to find out.
Yes.
And then, I know you do so much in your office, but I did want to bring in the fact about passports, because that's really important as
Yes,
well.
Yes.
So with everything else going on, you also handle passports.
Yes.
So where would people go?
Mhm.
And I know we spoke earlier about this, it's a one-stop shopping passport venue because you also take pictures.
Pictures,
And they
right.
guarantee that if I go, they'll make me younger and thinner, so I'm good, I'm good with that. So let's just talk a little bit about that. How do I
Yes.
do that? What
So,
do I do?
we have several certified passport agents, and we assist people with their passport applications. We can't issue the passports, but we assist people with the photographs and the applications. And we have several locations. The closest one to here is our building at 33 Mechanic Street in Freehold Borough, and we have a full-time passport office there with full-time agents.
You
People
said
can come anytime.
certified agents, I didn't realize that, so they're licensed, they're certified?
Yes, you have to be
agents?
certified by the State Department
Okay.
to, and they check often.
Mhm.
They're very strict about their passport agents. And the whole office itself has to be reviewed and approved. And recently, we were given our certificate of excellence for both of our main locations.
So the one is in the borough?
One is
that's
in
our
Freehold
closest.
Borough, and we're open, usual hours, 8:30 to 4 was usually when we take our last client. And then in Neptune, we have the County Connection.
That's right.
And we have late hours in Neptune, and we have Saturday hours. So that is on Route 66, and we have a great staff there also. And they're very happy to serve the public, and everybody just has reviews about them.
And go to your website and you could find out.
Yes,
Where
yes.
it is, if-
Yep, MonmouthCountyClerk.com, just click on passports. We also are at the Monmouth Mall once a month. The first
Oh.
Thursday of every month, you can go get our passport services.
Where in the mall?
It's next to Boscov's.
Okay.
On the upper level.
Okay.
So we have a
First
location
Thursday.
there with the sheriff and the surrogate, and we are there the first Thursday of every month.
That's a
And we go
great
on the road too.
service.
We have a
Yes.
mobile county connection where we go different
That's right.
places. Yeah.
That's right, so
Yeah.
really you make it a great deal easier. Is there a fee?
Yes, there
Yeah.
is if we were required to charge a processing fee. So there's a fee for the application itself. I believe it's about $110 now. There's a fee for the photo, $10, and then there's a $35 service fee that we're
And they
supposed to
pay
charge.
with a personal check, cash, what do they
I
use?
have to double check on that.
Okay.
It's definitely credit card, personal check, I believe we will
Yeah.
take, but I have to
But they
double
could
check
go
it.
online.
Yeah, on
They
my,
could go-
it's all on my website.
Yeah, they
Yes,
can go online
yes.
and check, I'm just trying to
Cash,
think.
yes, we
Yeah.
will take cash also. But it is a lot of money, so it's better
Yeah.
to, you know.
Yes, I wouldn't do cash, I would,
Yes,
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 do it because it is.
the federal fees are, it's a good amount. You don't want walking
Yeah, so
around
it
with all
doesn't,
the
yeah,
cash,
and once again, it doesn't come back to your office, it's the.
Some of it stays in the county.
Yeah.
I have to, it
Most
goes
of
to
it
the
goes
county
up.
budget. But the fee for the application itself, that has to go to the federal government. for the passport itself.
To do all
That's
that.
the biggest part of the fee.
And then, I know, I just wanted, in the time we have left, the Federal Real ID Act is taking place next year.
October of 2020. After 9/11, the federal government passed a law requiring identifications to have certain security measures on them. And every state, with respect to their driver's license, had to come into compliance with these requirements of the Real ID. Most states have complied. There are a few that are not there yet. New Jersey, I know, is working toward compliance. But a passport is always in compliance with the Real ID Act. So if you have a passport, you could always use that.
Okay.
Your New Jersey driver's license will not be in compliance
You need that
unless
star?
you get, it's that
That's
little.
what I just
yes.
saw in the news.
Unless you get that Real ID Act compliant driver's license, you will not be able to get on a domestic flight anywhere in the United States as of October 2020 without the Real ID compliant driver's license or your passport.
Wow.
So this is coming and everybody needs to prepare for it, because if you go to the airport without a Real ID compliant ID, you're not getting on a domestic flight. Most people think, oh, I only need a passport for if I'm going overseas or something like that. So this is important, and people who travel need to make sure that as of October of 2020, they have either a passport or the Real ID compliant driver's license in order to do that. And it also relates to getting into federal buildings, federal services.
Right.
So if you don't deal with the federal government at all, and if you don't get on any planes, you're okay.
Okay.
But most people will need to get either a passport or the Real ID compliant ID, because you wouldn't be able to get into the federal courthouse or certain buildings unless you have the federal compliant.
And I just heard that on the news, so it's not really out there in the public.
Right, we've been trying to get the word out.
Yes.
But it is, there have been different news articles, but it hasn't really saturated well enough yet.
So I'm glad we're doing that, so that at least our
Yes.
viewers will get
Yes.
the heads up.
Yes, now New Jersey is starting to roll it out in certain locations. I do not believe it's everywhere yet. I think they were doing a pilot program in certain counties.
Okay.
So it's coming. Just be on the lookout for
And
it.
it's through the motor vehicle,
Mhm.
so they could
Yes.
call motor vehicle. We have
Yes.
it right here in Freehold Township,
That's
the
right.
motor vehicle
Mhm.
department.
Yes.
So they could just
And there is an
call.
extra fee, I believe. I don't think it's just a swap for, I think there's a fee for
That you have to
So,
pay
but you
for
should
the-
look online
Yeah.
for the Real ID. But if you have your passport,
At least you have that.
you're
You can
good.
do that.
That's just as
They
good.
come to your office for
Right.
that.
So if you have just a regular license and your passport, you really don't
You're
have, you just
okay.
have to carry your passport with you
Yeah.
when you go.
And if you have it with the star, you don't have to have the passport if you're domestic.
Right, right,
Domestic.
right, once you transition to
So
that.
much changing.
I know.
Wow,
I know.
just keeps
After
so
9/11,
busy.
they,
Yes.
the federal government has been working on this
And I
to make
understand.
our travel
safer.
and buildings more secure,
Yeah.
so.
And it really, every day it changes, because every day someone does something no one
Different thing,
expects.
correct.
So then
Yes.
they have to adjust that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
also, just at least one other thing, maybe two. Veterans, you do so much for the veterans.
Thank you.
And I was at, in fact, your building, the clerk's office in Freehold Borough, when you dedicated the special parking space for the veterans.
Yes.
We have one
Yeah.
here in Freehold
Yes, it's
Township.
the right thing to do.
Veterans are just,
Yes.
so close to all of our hearts.
I know.
It really
I know.
is. So in the county, every day is Veterans Day.
Yeah, that's so true.
Really,
It's so true.
because you
In my
have-
office too, it is, because
Yes.
we have veterans coming in every day for their ID
I
cards.
know.
Mhm.
And so just what they have, you give veterans special ID cards? do you
Yes,
get?
it's a veteran's ID card, and now we have Gold Star Parent ID
And what is
cards.
the Gold Star? I know, but maybe our viewers don't know.
Yes,
what
so the Gold Star Parent ID card is for parents or guardians who lost a child
good.
in the military. So they can come in and get the Gold Star Parent card, and we have our veterans card. And they come in and bring in the DD 214, and we keep it on file for them, because sometimes people misplace them, but we make a copy and keep it on file and secure it. It's definitely not an
Accessible.
operable document. It's
Right.
not accessible to the public, but we like to,
Yes,
have
that
this
helps.
service for them. And when I became the clerk, we started a program called Honoring Our Heroes. And it is an opportunity for businesses and even municipal governments to offer a special discount or service to our veterans. And we put it in this book that we have. And so anytime a veteran comes in, we also give them the book.
I've read that book.
So-
In fact, my husband's both brothers are veterans. And so we did, well, one is out in California in San Diego, but one lives here in Monmouth County, and we
Yes.
gave him the book.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
it has a lot of discounts in it.
I can't tell you how many businesses have responded to that. I mean, it's just pages and pages and pages
Yes.
of businesses who want to give back. And I'm so proud and happy that we were able to do that. I have a few people in my office who help me with the upkeep of the book. We issue a new one about every 6 months because we
Because
always
other
have
ones come
people
in- yes.
coming. And we also have the list on our website,
Oh,
which is like
great.
an Excel spreadsheet format. But the book is really nice to give out to them. And then we just continue to advertise everywhere we go to businesses and ask them to sign up to be part of the program. So oftentimes veterans are too humble to ask for,
Right.
a discount or something. Some of them are homeless, some are struggling
Yes.
financially, and
Say
it's
it.
really nice to be able to help them. But at least if they have the book, they know before they go in
And
somewhere.
then they just can give the card. They
Right, and then they don't
draw
have to make it,
attention.
right. And what we decided to do also was we had a window cling designed for any business that participates in the program. We send them the window cling. So if they have a window to
Right.
display it, so that the veteran knows when they walk in the door that the business participates in this program.
And you know what? I, as just a member of the public, if I saw that in the window, I would definitely want to go in and do business there because I would know they're supporting our veterans.
Yes.
And that would make me choose to go into that business as well. So I'm glad you're doing that
Thank you.
because it just really is so important. And you're right, veterans are usually so very humble.
Yeah.
And
I know, they don't even want to use the parking space because they're
Right?
too humble.
We have
But
the
it's
same
there
thing,
for them
yes.
to use.
Yes, and we have it in our
Because we
car.
have about 500 or so a year who come in.
Really?
It's really quite, it's
yeah.
a lot of veterans who come into our building.
And there are 500 stories every time they come in. Everyone has a story.
Yes, yes.
It's really just fascinating, and we have to appreciate them all year round because
Absolutely.
I always say we're the land of the free because we're also the home of the brave.
Absolutely.
And they're just
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, so it's not just Memorial Day or
No,
Veterans Day.
every day they deserve our
it's
thanks and
every day.
respect.
So I think I'm trying to cover everything. You do so much. We talked about the different things. We talked about, I know what I wanted to talk about also. I wanted to talk about just very briefly, because we did the mailing thing, the 100th anniversary. I wanted to put that in. You had mentioned it.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's the 100th anniversary
Yes.
of women's suffragettes.
Yes.
Suffragettes. And I, of course, was not around for the beginning of it. Close, but
Of
not
course
quite
not.
100 years. So you're doing a lot through the county. If people know of an extraordinary woman, they could contact your office.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna do a few things for the anniversary of women's suffrage. Some of the things are happening on Archives Day. We have, our essay contest.
Yes.
We have our speakers during Archives Week and on Archives Day relating to the anniversary of women's suffrage. Our booklet highlights prominent Monmouth County women. And we're gonna be doing a video to commemorate the anniversary. And we have a brochure that we're gonna give out where we're gonna highlight all the different things that might be happening around the county. So whether it's a local historical association that's doing something special, we're gonna put this all in the brochure so we can give it out to people and they know what's going on
What is
locally.
the date? When is the date?
Well, we're gonna start giving things out on
Archives
Archives
Day
Day,
in
which is the
October.
second weekend in October. The anniversary though of women's suffrage, nationwide is August 26th.
Okay.
2020.
So we have.
But there are so many important
To do.
dates leading up to that
Yeah.
and even after that. The first date that women actually were able to vote, in an election. And there were all of these different ratification dates in the different states. So really, throughout 2019 and 2020, there's so many important dates. So we're trying to bring attention to it, and encourage people to really celebrate. We're also doing a video contest. So we are doing a high school video contest that we started last year.
I'm so glad you're involving the schools and
I know,
the children.
it's so important to get them involved. So the video contest will be leading up to Election Day. And this year the focus will be about voting rights, because it is the year that women were afforded, the anniversary of the 100th anniversary of that. Last year it was just about, try to encourage other young people to vote, and that was the concept of the video. This year it'll be slightly different because it'll have the, that aspect of voting
focus.
rights.
Yeah.
So we will be picking our winners, right after Election Day, and we'll celebrate with that. So we have a lot of things coming up, and we'll be contacting all of the municipalities and sending them a sample resolution and encouraging them to pass a resolution to honor the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. So we'll be sending that out. So we're really excited about this year.
You do so much.
So it's fun. We have a good time.
Yes, that's the fun part of the job.
We really enjoy
some
it.
of it's
and I have a great team.
You have a good
of people.
staff. You do.
Wonderful. Couldn't do it without them.
You do. I know, because we usually hear at municipal level, anyone who has a problem, they come here first, and we really don't have issues about the clerk's office. So I'm grateful. No, because the questions are all answered, and you really go out of your way to try to anticipate the questions, the problems, the issues, so that you can address them first. It's a lot. I'm sure our viewers, after watching all this, just are as amazed as I am that you're able to get all of this done. It's really a very unique office.
It's very different. Most people don't know all the different things that go on. There's so many different aspects of it.
It is,
So.
and you do so well with all of it. And I think I know it's part of why Monmouth County is such a great county.
Thank you so much.
And I appreciate, on behalf of all our residents who have used your offices, who will be using them,
It's so fun.
I really want to thank you for all that you do and you continue to do, and I'm excited about that whole 100th anniversary. That's part of who you are and what you do, to reach out and include that as much. That's what makes our office in Monmouth County, I think, so very special. So I thank you
team
so
of
much.
people,
Yes,
a lot of great leaders.
hard work, all worth it. It really is.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank
I know
you.
you're busy. I know you're busy. We just talked about everything, and that's only what we could put into the show. So we talked about so much. We hope you learned and you enjoyed, and that you will contact the clerk's office if you have any questions, and information will be up so that you can do that. We thank Christine Hanlon, your Monmouth County Clerk, for being with us. Until next time, this is Mayor Barbara McMorrow saying stay safe and be well.